Now, ladies, I've got a real treat for you here. I reached out to my friend Dr. Amandha Vollmer, who is an incredible resource and has so much wisdom in the area of natural health and how your body really functions. And I asked her for her top 5 health tips for women over the age of 55. And she clearly has given this a lot of careful thought and consideration because the information that she's about to share with you is just incredible. So I'd encourage you to maybe grab yourself a nice drink, sit back with a pen and a piece of paper or a pencil and make some notes. This stuff is really gold. If we could start off with the top 5 tips you think you have for women over 55. We did men a while back and that was really, really good and gave me some really cool things that I was able to take from that myself, which was very nice. And so if we could do that for the ladies as well, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, and I'm not post 55 yet, but I'm 50. I'll be 51 in August, and
Hmm.
I already feel what those changes are, and have had to like live the experiences of the changes that happen to us as we go through like the perimenopause, menopausal
Mm.
change, right? And then after, what the cleanup looks like, and how to go through that well
Yeah,
without losing a lot of brain matter.
yeah.
And bone loss, because really it's a time where there's lots of breakdown, and but there's supposed to be a regeneration.
Mm.
It's really supposed to be a time of like of an awakening of a
Yeah.
woman, and men
Hmm.
go through their own version of that. But as we're focused on women, like
Mm.
we cycle with the moon, and we now are wrapping up our fertility and the energy that goes into fertility, and then the
Hmm.
energy shifts, and instead of just losing it, right,
Yeah.
we can actually hone it and
Hmm.
transform ourselves so that we become like wise women.
Mm.
Because as you work from, like, you go from maiden to to motherhood to like crone, that is supposed to be the inner space and the wise connection, and
Mm.
the creatorship starts to shift.
Mm.
But a lot of women just degrade, really, and suppress that in themselves. So we'll talk about some of the, yeah, the my like top 5 sort of important tips for
Yeah.
women. It really does become a self-care journey.
Hmm.
A lot of women, take care of their children, take care of the household,
Yeah.
even work, and are like often burnt out by this stage. Their adrenals are crashed,
Hmm.
right? They have lots of stress issues. And it really has to be like focus on the self at that point. Like,
Yeah.
really, the children are either getting older to, and can take care of a lot of themselves, or have left the nest and this kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So then it's like a refocus on the self,
Yeah.
which can be really hard to do for some women who've just been focused outwardly on other people for maybe their whole lives.
Yeah.
So it can feel really foreign, and
That
even kind
sounds a
of,
bit like you, Amanda.
yeah, maybe. I've really had to drop a lot of things,
Hmm.
and also let people go through what they need to go through, because a lot of the
Yeah.
times I've interfered with their processes in trying to save people from it, but realize that there's value in going through
Hmm.
those experiences. And that's coming into like my wise era, where it's like
Yeah.
when the right timing of when to intervene versus when not to. And that means
Hmm.
the inner world has to be crisp, the inner world has to
Hmm.
be clear. And so I feel like the way that women have been masculinized in this sort of society,
Yep.
that we're really brainy, and we're really like headstrong, and we're really like force the outcomes,
Hmm.
but that doesn't serve us in the long run, especially during this time after
Yeah.
55 or in our 50s and onward. Like,
Yeah.
it shifts, and we're really meant to be like the sages and the
Hmm.
wise women keepers, and very grounded, and an anchoring point and a softening point, and
Hmm.
like sink into ourselves, rather than try to continue to like spin outwardly and
Hmm.
continue to be like that masculine doer energy.
Yeah. And also getting
um
trapped in your warrior, which is what you and I talked about at length.
yeah, the warrior has to sort of take a back seat, and the other archetypes need to come
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's definitely the sage, the magician, the
Hmm.
lover,
Yeah.
like the one that plays. I don't know. I have different names for my different playful states. The goofy,
Hmm.
like I find myself wanting to be more like silly, goofy, you know, like that kind of
I
energy.
think entertainer's probably a good kind of
Yeah, but even
bracket
just
for
out
that.
in the forest, like running out in the
Yeah,
forest and being
yeah.
silly and like getting
Yeah.
wet in the rain and getting dirty, like a child again in a sense,
Bit
but
childlike, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, maybe it's more childlike
Yeah.
and not caring what other people think and
Yeah.
like all of that and the
Hmm.
keeping up appearances that I see in women who have been trained or propagandized by, big media and
Yeah.
Hollywood and whatever, where they get all the fillers and the plimpers and the whatevers and the
Yeah.
Botoxes. That is not the way because it affects your brain. It affects
Mm.
your thinking and actually decreases your empathy. Like Botox decreases your empathy, which is the opposite of where we need to be at this stage, right? We need
Yeah.
to be more empathetic and more
Yeah.
almost softened into ourselves
Hmm.
rather than this hard. And it doesn't mean we don't have good boundaries. It's quite the opposite. You have very
Hmm.
strong boundaries,
Well, I think you
but
become more powerful as you become more feminine.
yeah, exactly. It's more it's so to soften, some people think that's like a weak thing, but it's not actually.
Hmm.
It's like be like water,
Yeah.
and flow with things and be able to notice some of the turns even ahead of time
Yeah.
because you're so able to like be like all encompassing with your energy field. You can really pick
Hmm.
things up, right?
Hmm.
And it's about just not grasping
Hmm.
onto it, which the masculine is very gets very material and physical,
Hmm.
and we're like so trained in that it's like it's tough to let go of some of the ways in which you thought you knew how to do things.
Hmm.
And it's like it's very humbling because you think you grow up with your ego and you think you know things, and then all of a sudden it's like you're not allowed to know like that anymore, you're not allowed to do like that anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you have to go, okay, there's a new way that's being
Yeah.
presented. I just have to find what that is. Um, so I would say, okay, so from like a health, a health aspect, we do experience a lot more mineral loss because there are a lot of changes going on, So my first approach would be to make sure you're restoring your minerals. I see a lot of women that they go on like Fosamax or they, go to the doctor and take all kinds of like synthetic HRT and this kind of thing. And that actually contributes to even more mineral loss. This is
Yeah.
why we see osteopenia, osteoporosis. We see like the cholesterol levels going up because of inflammation,
Hmm.
increases in like Alzheimer's, memory loss. It's not just because the decreasing hormones, it's also because the hormones can't rebuild because there's not enough minerals to like continue building everything. Plus,
Hmm.
the gut isn't absorbing as well as usually it has in the past.
Hmm.
So now, like the absorption is low, the delivery is low, the turnover is slowed, everything, the releases are slowed. So the nutrition really does have to pick it up a notch, and
Hmm.
the even the way you chew, even the way you digest has to be really considered. So, um, like usually by your 50s, you're getting a lot of mineral stripping. You're getting there's the cortisol is increased, so the stress response is increased. There's a lot of maybe processed foods still happening or cheap foods. The
Hmm.
fascia becomes more dehydrated. The heart can become more strained. And so, like, we're talking magnesium, silica, sulfur, boron, trace minerals, all those kinds of things need to, like, to regulate nerve function,
Hmm.
hormonal tone, and cognitive health. Those become like primary. So things like, in the spring, wild greens, dandelion, nettles,
Hmm.
watercress, like get those things into your meals. Magnesium, I always talk about magnesium, of course, but magnesium chloride should be
Yeah.
used topically like every day.
Hmm.
And then the sulfur content also drops. So taking MSM sulfur or using DMSO, those kinds of things can help with like tissue flexibility.
Yeah.
And then we sell something called concentrates, which is or like pure sea minerals. So getting like the seaside minerals like into your body
Hmm.
um, is like enough salt, and those kinds of a full grade salt is really balancing
Yeah.
to the body. Did you want to add anything into that?
No, I think that's bang on. Thank you.
Okay. All right. The second one is focusing on liver and kidney kidneys to drain properly.
Yeah.
So everything gets, like I said, really slow, really sluggish. That can be dehydration. And then, so hormones, they're chemical mediators, they're communicators. Now so think about your communication network is shifting, it's changing, and
Hmm.
it's less. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it's focusing us to go in more inward.
Hmm.
In a way, it's like it's nudging us that way.
Hmm.
But we also don't want to suffer through it, so if we know that, we can willingly go and then also help our hormones still like be present.
Hmm.
So we have like slower elimination cycles. So it's just simple detoxing isn't usually even enough.
Hmm.
So it means like supporting all your exit routes. That's the liver, kidneys, bowel, skin, lymph. Um, so everything has to go through the lungs, everything has to go through the skin,
Hmm.
and we don't want recirculating toxins because that can like settle in the fat and brain and joints. You can get arthritis at this point. Like a lot of women
Hmm.
at this time get like frozen shoulder, get like tendinopathies, specifically of the hip. You get a lot of hip fractures and things
Yeah.
because the tendons are not functioning properly. Then the muscle belly is getting dehydrated. Then the fascia gets involved. Then
Hmm.
you're not getting proper pulling on the bones to stimulate them to continue
Yeah.
to rebuild. Because like
Yep.
bones are plastic, meaning they're always breaking down and rebuilding,
Yep.
like constantly throughout our lives. And now all of a sudden they're not rebuilding back up as much as they're being taken down, because everything has to go back into the blood to be used. So the bones are a source of minerals, and the body needs them to build the
Hmm.
hormones and fix everything. So we want to make sure that everything that the body's trying to rebuild and fix is also being eliminated and not building up, causing secondary
Yeah.
drainage problems, on like resource losses.
Yeah. So you then, I mean, certainly an exercise program would help because that puts stress and demand on those areas to rebuild, provided you've got the raw materials to rebuild them back up again.
Yeah, that's step 5. You're getting
Gotcha.
totally
Right.
ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. They, well, they'll,
But yeah,
because
no,
they,
they're all entwined. But yeah,
yeah, that's right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Movement is going to be like that.
Yeah.
Movement
And
is key.
the other good one, there's two I can think of for elimination. One is a squatty potty to make sure you've got your knees up so the puborectalis muscles in the right position so you can eliminate more effectively that way. And the other one would be, I don't know if you're going to mention the enemas or not, but they're
Yeah.
also a really critical point of getting rid of waste material as well as stimulating things.
Yeah, so things like castor oil packs over the liver and kidneys. I talk about urine therapy all the time.
Hmm.
It's so
Hmm.
simple. Like I wake up sometimes discombobulated, where my hormones don't feel right, and just imbibing my first morning urine and nothing even more than that,
Yep.
it totally regulates me. I can feel when I'm off. I can feel if I'm getting like migrainey or feeling like just moody
Hmm.
or not quite right. It's just an off feeling. But the urine, because it's your own waters and it's your own like homeopathic remedy basically, and it's not waste, it's just filtered excess because the
Hmm.
wastes go through the liver, but it's still a filtration process. So
Hmm.
it gives you like a feedback loop in your body of up and down regulation of materials. So it can already help get you to homeostasis just by doing that, which is totally free. And once you're over like the propaganda that it's like toxic or waste
Hmm.
or whatever, once you get past that, it's a youthful elixir. Using it for skincare, using it internally, using it for all kinds of wounds and issues, right? So really learning about that one key thing can solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to approach it delicately because we're just so locked into a lot of illusions and lies.
Hmm.
But if people can get to that place, it's very, very powerful medicine and can
Yeah.
help you cleanse, because automatically even the urea, even though it's like 2-3% urea,
Hmm.
also increases the drainage of waste from your
Hmm.
body and encourages waste release.
Yeah.
And then teas that support kidney health, like parsley leaf, corn silk. I make a tea blend specifically for kidney releases and kidney support, tonify it, and help the kidneys filter better and just do a better job.
Hmm.
And really, that's where your life force comes from, is the kidney energy.
Yeah.
So, like once the kidneys are kaput, you're kaput. So
Yeah.
that's like the governing body of your lifespan. So the more you can support the kidneys and kidney health, and a lot of women
Hmm.
get like mild UTI sort of thing feelings, which is just really meaning that the kidneys are not cleansing as
Hmm.
effectively. So waste can build up in the bladder system and the whole urinary tract system,
Hmm.
and then your own microbes are going to come in to try to clean that stuff up.
Well, it is
And
hugely important, which is why the bladder meridian, to do with all that, is the longest one in the body, isn't it?
yeah, it's a huge meridian.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, and you can do tapping of the meridian.
Yeah.
And I have an eye doc electroacupuncture device that I use
Hmm.
for stimulating points, or you can use like there's so many ways you can actually
Yeah.
stimulate the points.
Hmm.
Again, like those can become blocked and circulation can be
Yeah.
impacted, or you can go see an acupuncturist if you have the luxury of that. Like there's all kinds of ways it can be done.
Mm.
Nettles are really helpful as well for that, for the nourishment, but also
I've been
like
out grabbing the new growth, and they're in my
they're
they'll be
coming
in my
out
dryer.
here.
Yeah.
Same, yeah. All the nettles are coming up now. Like it's one of the first spring herbs. I noticed
Yeah.
like two come out at least here in the spring. We have the nettles that come pretty
Yeah.
soon, and then we have the coltsfoot. They look like dandelion flowers, but they're not. They're just little yellow flowers. But you can
Mm.
also take those flowers and use them, and they're a lung cleanse,
Mm.
just a natural, gentle lung cleanse. And then later the big leaves come, and those can be used after. But the flower's the first to
Hmm.
come out, which is kind of rare. And just looking at the early spring blooms are what helps you go, oh, I need this, like to help me
Hmm.
cleanse. It
Yeah.
shows you.
Yeah. It's a magical time of year right now because all the stuff you need to clear out what you've just been through is there.
It's there, and and I notice it comes in different abundances depending on what you've gone through the previous
Hmm.
season. So if it's a heavy dandelion crop, then there's your dandelion, there's your liver support. When you see the lung flowers come up, that's time to do your lung cleansing. Like spring
Hmm.
is the time for cleansing, spring and autumn before any change of seasons, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your key time.
Yeah.
So yeah, coffee enemas at least once a week. Make sure
Hmm.
you're never constipated. If you're ever
Yeah.
constipated, run an enema. Don't allow that to happen. And
Hmm.
it's easy for those past 55 to get more dehydrated,
Yep.
and like sleep is another issue we'll talk about. But like that, you don't want to go a day where you don't have
No.
a bowel movement because it can
No.
really
Well,
set
that
you
that on the
back.
back of your hand's a good one too, isn't it?
Yep, and also the Li4 here, this
Yep.
point is a stimulatory point for the liver.
Yep.
Homeopathic Nux vomica is also helpful for constipation.
Hmm.
But you should have at least one or two bowel movements a day. You can take oral vitamin C and oral magnesium to loosen the stool. That instead of like a lot of people take like stool softeners and things, but those can be habit forming
Hmm.
and sort of set you back in the long run and not really recommended. So probiotics, digestive bitters, all those things can help the gastric cycle move forward and make sure that
Hmm.
it's not stagnant. Because really, it's like not just a physical, microbiome balancing issue. It's also a nervous system stimulation
Yep.
issue. So the innervation of the bowels need to be stimulated to move. And it's so funny. It's almost like we come full circle. Like as we age, we become more like babies again because when babies are born, they often can get like colic or
Hmm.
have like bowel,
Hmm.
issues and digestive issues as they're like learning. It's like our digestive system is relearning all
Yep.
over again.
Yep.
And we have to take care to, support the nervous system to stimulate the
Yeah.
releases.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Um,
Ladies, if you'd like to see parts 3, 4, and 5 of this video, they form part of my private masterclass I put together on antiagingmastery.co.uk, which is specifically targeted for men and women over the age of 55. If you want to have a look at that and see if it resonates with you and see if you'd like to access the course, I'd love to welcome you to visit the website. There'll be a link in the description of this video, and there you can see if it's something for you. In the meantime, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.